Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Moment of Science, Please. If you're here from our social media, I know that these podcasts are designed to discuss research at UofT. Heads up, today's podcast will be less research heavy and will mostly allow us to introduce ourselves to you. So we will start off with a round of introductions. So everyone, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hawa. I'm the A Moment of Science, Please president. I'm in my second year. I'm a health and disease specialist. Agia, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, sure. So, hi, I'm the A Moment of Science or AMOSP vice president, and I just finished my second year, and I also am doing a health and disease specialist with a Spanish minor. So, Mohammed, you want to go next?
I don't want to go next. Hi everyone, I'm Mohammed. I also just finished my second year. I'm in the molecular genetics and microbiology specialist program, and that's it.
Alice?
I'm Alice. I'm the content manager, and I have just completed my third year, double majoring in physiology and health and disease, and I'm also minoring in psychology. So I'll also be heading into my first year of graduate school in Masters of Health Science called the Translational Research Program.
And
you were a little concerned, Alice, about psychology.
Oh, yes. Joy. Joy. This is joy for people watching.
Anna,
sorry, Anna.
My name is Anna, and I'm content director. I just finished my second year and pursuing a double major in biochemistry and neuroscience.
Awesome, thanks. So, and lastly, my name is Margarita, and I am AMOSP's treasurer. I am going to enter my third year, and I'm pursuing a specialist in pharmacology with drugs. So all of us are part of AMOSP's executive team. Now, some of you may be wondering kind of what the purpose of AMOSP is, what our future goals are, and where the idea generally came from. So I was wondering if Hava, you could clarify that for us.
Yeah, so I think my beginning or like intro to research really started first year, end of first semester, when everyone was like, you need to find a research position for the summer. And I learned about cold emailing, and I never realized how hard cold emailing is, just because we haven't done it before. There's a lot of aspects to it that you have to consider. And something I always really struggled with was reading the papers and making sure that I understood what the researcher was doing or what their lab was about, even though they were part of a department I was interested in. And I don't know about you guys, but I learn a lot better when I hear someone speak rather than just reading and absorbing. So it was really hard for me to think about the research just because of the jargon, just because of how complex they were, a lot of the terminology and the concepts I hadn't learned before, even though it was doable, something that I could have done or could have helped with. And so I thought that's something that where we could, collaborate with researchers or with profs that we've encountered or have research that's very interesting. But, we might be shying away from talking to them or reading about their papers or learning about their work just because it's so complex on paper. It might be cool to talk to them and chat with them and see what they have to say about their own research in nicer terms, in student vocabulary. So I think AMOSP is a great way to reach out and provide other people with that information that we were looking for too, right? I hope all of you agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, wonderful.
Joy.
Thank you so much for your very comprehensive answer. I think we're all on the same page in that regard. So the next thing that you probably guys want to know is how these podcasts will work and where you can listen to them. So I was wondering if, Agia, you could answer that question.
Okay, so as Hava mentioned, the purpose of this podcast is just to make research more accessible and maybe easier to understand for students. Doesn't necessarily have to be undergraduate student, all the students are looking for research. So the way that we're trying to approach these podcasts is to start by contacting professors, for now only in UofT, who are doing research actively or have published some papers recently, so more recent papers. We're gonna contact them, ask them to be a guest in our podcast, and we will basically just have a very casual chat with them about their research, their findings, and just ask them to explain their findings in words that are more understandable for the students, because it doesn't matter how much you have knowledge about a topic, there are definitely going to be some words that you're not going to understand on the papers because it's just like for the experts. And so we already have some guests on our list, and so stay tuned for that. And our podcasts are going to be on YouTube. Like we will post the Zoom meetings on the YouTube, but we also will post them on like podcast specific platforms such as Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts. I don't know. We will put it on our Instagram. Everything that we can find, we will put it on our social media. And one more thing is that we also might have a chat with the professors about the opportunities that they have available on their lab, or maybe the colleagues that they know who's looking for students. So if you're looking for a research position, I'd say these podcasts are going to be really, really helpful for you.
100% agree. And yes, these podcasts will be really readily accessible. So you guys don't have an excuse not to watch, other than if you're not interested in research for some unclear reason. So we hope you're going to stick with us. We'll find these podcasts useful. But thank you so much, Agia, for your response. That was really helpful. And so that leaves us with one more logistics-based question that we need to clarify for you guys. And that is, what are the socials that we keep on mentioning, and where can you follow us to stay up to date on our content? And I was wondering, Anna, since you're a social media person, if you can answer that for us.
Thank you, Margarita. We are flexible with it when it comes to social. So you can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we will post about our new hosts, topics, and podcast release days. We will also provide with a first-hand advice and guiding for finding a research position. So we will be posting our suggestion on what to include in cold emails, resume, how to contact professors, and other topics that will help you to find your research position.
And I think, sorry, just to jump in, that how Agia said that we hope to get to a point where we might be able to show research opportunities or showcase research opportunities that might come up. So hopefully we'll get to that point where we can even advertise on our social media of potential research opportunities that have opened up, or any sort of opportunity that we're aware of through our connection through professors. And we can share that with our social fan base.
Yes,
Did we get paid for our advertisements?
No, unfortunately.
No, I'm leaving.
We're not CLNX, sorry guys, but we're much easier to use than CLNX, because frankly, that website is not fun to use. No offense to CLNX, and if you guys are watching, my bad. But yeah, awesome. So thank you, Anna, for your response. And that is the last of our logistical questions. So now it will probably be a good opportunity for us to talk about our motivation for participating in research and our previous experience with research. So hopefully this will give everyone the motivation to participate in research, to those of you that are listening, and to also, this will kind of hope to give us some credentials for you guys to continue listening to our podcasts. So I think let's start off with a bit of a different person this time. So I was wondering, Mohammed, if you could perhaps go first. Don't say no.
I can, but I don't wanna. No, I can't. Okay. So I can talk about UofT. That actually stands for, I looked at it last night, Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program.
You got it.
You may wonder what's the difference with ROP, because that's Research Opportunity Program. I have no idea. But UofT is basically summer specific as far as I know.
So there we go. We figured it out.
Yes.
And it pays you.
So the way it works is it's department specific. So depends on, each department has its own eligibility, but I think as long as you're a student within that department, you're eligible, or you have a supervisor in that department. So I think they're pretty flexible when it comes to that. But you basically find the supervisor first, and then there are all these forms you have to fill out. They're kind of random, but anyways, no offense to the people who made them. But so you send them to the department and they get back to you. They say you got it or you didn't. That would be unfortunate, but it's what it is. No offense to the people who didn't get it, but yeah, that's it.
And what are you going to
Very
be
helpful.
Maybe you
studying
can
this
talk
year?
about like the payments and so are you getting paid in a
Yes.
And what are you studying this summer since you got the Europe this summer?
Myself?
Yes.
I'm working on, my lab is looking at C. elegans. And so they just use C. elegans for a variety of different reasons. It's their model organism. But what I'll be doing is, one thing they want to do is, okay, this may get a little technical, but there's something about an object called the skeleton of that object. Like, for example, if you have a rectangle, the skeleton is going to be, if you have a very thin rectangle, the skeleton is going to be a line. So the good thing about the skeleton is that it's a way of representing how an object looks without actually representing the entire object. So you can imagine if you have a C. elegans, it's the worm. It has all these different shapes. Say like it looks like this. It looks like a U. You can get the skeleton of the C. elegans to actually analyze its pose. So what I'll be doing during my Europe over the summer is coming up with a way of skeletonizing C. elegans. It has been done before, but the problem is in some specific positions, like a coil, like if it looks like this, it kind of gets messed up. So I'll be using a new approach to make a skeletons for C. elegans. Hopefully it works.
Awesome.
Pretty
Wow.
interesting.
Very cool.
This is
No,
an
it's
area
not.
of research that I don't think
But
any of us have had exposure to. So very cool. And what motivated you to kind of get into research? Why'd you choose research?
the money. No, that's not true.
Aren't we all in it for
Well,
money?
exactly. But anyway, no, jokes aside, I got into research kind of by accident. I'm not gonna lie. I found this opportunity last summer, and as Howard said, we were like, it was at the end of first year. Everyone was like, you gotta get a research position and all. And I applied. I got in, and when I got in, I realized, this is so cool. You get to work with all these different people. You actually get to make things that are new. I mean, last summer I didn't really make anything that was new, but anyway, I made a part in making something new.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell in love with doing research, and I even reconsidered all my career path that I had planned before. So, that's what got me into research.
Awesome. That is an amazing response. And yeah, again, nothing against med, but if you guys ever want a different career pathway to med, research is an amazing other option. But don't take it as that. Research shouldn't be an alternative pathway. It should be something that you're obviously interested in. Yeah.
And if you're here for the money, you make the wrong decision.
Yeah, no offense, guys.
Definitely not in it. If you're in it for the money, there are better career paths out there for you.
You'll be broke.
Research is not for gold diggers. It's for passionate people. I was wondering, Ellis, if you could go next.
Sure, for sure. So I guess I'll start with my motivation. I seeked out to do research because I kind of wanted to see the process or the background image behind cool medical advancements that I see all the time in news. And that got me into the first research step. And I also know that I have a strong interest in medicine. So I was particularly fond of clinical research. That kind of led into my main experience that I had last year with my ROP, Research Opportunity Program, that I took during my third year as a full year course. So I applied to 5 different projects, and of those, my top choice was, of course, the only clinical research project that I could find out of everything, and fortunately, I did get it. My project was based on the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, contracted to EDS, and the topic specifically that I did on my project was the effects of anxiety on pain perceived by patients with hypermobility. And this project had all of its database coming from the Good Hope Ehlers-Danlos syndrome clinic from Toronto General Hospital. So that was, I guess, my main experience from research. And I think the 2 main takeaways that I kind of got from this experience was that one, research is really integral to the development of new practices and methods that connect between clinical settings and also the basic science behind it. And two, I think that research is really not something that you can learn like a lecture. It's not something that someone can teach you and bring you through step by step. And I think exploration and experience is key to knowing how to approach even the same research question, because there's so many ways of doing it. So I think that's my main takeaway from my experience.
Wonderful, thank you. Another, again, different answer, different reasons, but still very applicable and hopefully and relatable probably for many people. So thank you so much for sharing your answer. Hava, I was wondering if you can go next.
Sure. So I think I agree with Ellis and Mohammed that, you know, research is this different field that I think in a sense is almost hidden. We don't really know about it until you're in research. Like, I think research for a really long time, just kind of, you think of it and you're like, you know, maybe it's just a couple people sitting behind a lab bench pipetting into like test tubes, and you realize it's really not that. It's so much more complex and broad. But I think for me, it's kind of a mix between the two. I was always interested in research in a sense that I wanted to get a chance to get out of the lecture setting and into a hands-on setting where I was actually dealing with data, or if it was a wet lab, I was actually hands-on working on something so that I understood. I think it was just to learn about what research was and to see if I actually did like it. And I think partly that motivation to get research comes from the fact that I didn't get so many positions I was applying to. It was kind of like this, if I don't get it, then maybe it is as prestigious as I think it is, and I really need to work harder to get it, right? And I think that kind of pushed me to continue trying to get research and actually get into the field, because I was getting rejected so much at first year. Despite the circumstances of COVID and everything going on, and the fact that I was only in first year, obviously it wasn't something that was like problematic, but it was something that was pushing me to continue, you know, just trying to get my foot in the door. And now that I have my foot in the door, I do see that it's so incredible. It's such a big field. There's so many different ways to do research. I think back to the idea of like sitting behind a lab bench, it's not like that, right? I mean, I think everybody's doing different projects. Like Mohammed's project with the C. elegans is so different compared to what I was doing this year, right? Like just the fact that we're both in research, but we're doing completely different things. And that's just, I think, the beauty of research, that it's so broad and it's such a wide, you can do so much. You have ample of room to work. And again, like as Ellis said, there's so like medical advancements come from research. So being a part of a project, or you know, just part of a lab that's doing incredible work that you know is going to change people's lives, or you know is going to change the way we look at science in the future, is just incredible to think about. Just processing that, I think, is just so great too. So that was really my motivation, but I am currently gonna start a summer research position at Sick Kids with the Department of the Department of Plastic Surgery in burn therapy. And I'm really excited about that. And this past year, I was doing research with the Department of PGME, which was more dry lab, or you know, data-based, where I learned about lit reviews, I learned about report writing, I learned about you know, collecting and organizing data, which was really interesting because I didn't realize how painstaking and how important those pieces were to research. So it's great. I am really enjoying it, and maybe we see a career in the future. Yeah.
Wonderful. Definitely cool experience. And I think you definitely highlighted how much diversity there is in research, and that like as long as you have something you're curious about, you will find something potentially to research about. So I agree 100% with everything you've said, and congrats on your summer research position.
Thank
too.
you.
So Agia, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So the funny thing is that Ellis and I actually work in the same lab this year. We did the same ROP, and well, I also did a thesis on like chronic pain, post-surgical chronic pain. But I'm not gonna talk about the details because Ellis already talked about ROP. I want to talk about my previous experience that helped me land this like competitive ROP, which is what we call, I think, private research. So, what private research essentially means is that it's the kind of research that is being offered by and individuals, and it's not really affiliated with a specific program or like your university. So because well, if I want to like talk about my motivation, I've always loved research because I believe research is like the foundation of everything. I know it's like a very philosophical answer, but it's just that everything that is happening because a research was done before on it. So I always love medicine. I love research, and like my ultimate goal is to have like a research institute of myself, maybe sometime in the future. So in my senior year of high school, like in the middle of the year, I started like cold emailing profs, like just random profs, and asking them if they wanted me to like volunteer and or even like shadow them just to learn research from them, because I don't know, I was just like very looking forward to getting experience earlier than other students. I started in my senior year of high school, and well, at the time I didn't really have any experience, not in research, not in cold emailing.
You would have had to start in like elementary school to get some.
Yeah, and so I was lucky, I'm not gonna lie, because I know that cold emailing can sometimes take a long time, but I got an answer like kind of relatively like right away. And this prof who actually works in London, Ontario, um, just got me in, but as a volunteer, so I wasn't getting paid. I was just like mostly learning basic research skills such as data entry, data extraction, things like that. But in addition to like gaining these kind of skills, getting familiar with how to work with data, I also got to learn about like the topic of their research. For example, one of the research that they were doing was on Firmingham risk factor, which is basically an algorithm that help insurance companies calculate the life expectancy of like their customers based on their lifestyle. And so it's actually a very old research. It started in a city called Farmingham in England, and then the algorithm keeps developing and developing. So the thing about it was that I actually got to learn because the prof was so nice. He would just like explain everything, the history and everything to me as he was like teaching me how to do like basic research stuff. And I think that was how I started research, and how I kept like building my resume in order to get other research positions. So I just want to mention that, well, we in AMOSP team, one of our main goal is to just like share our experiences, because I know that we come with such a diverse set of experiences with you, so that you guys can also start finding research positions if you haven't already. So
Yeah, 100%. Guys, try cold emailing. I know it's intimidating. Actually, it should be less intimidating because they don't know what you look like, so they won't recognize you on the street. It's like, oh, you're that person that's sending that terrible cold email. That won't happen. So
The cooler the email, the better. You can
if they
put it
don't know
in
you,
ice beforehand. That helps usually.
so it's not bad. It's
Is
quite
that
pleasant when
joy
you get
or
a
are you actually
response.
laughing?
joy.
Okay.
You know what? Anyways, definitely try cold emailing. It's not intimidating. Well, it might seem intimidating, but it's not. They don't know who you are. It's just like,
Especially once you get a nice template ready and you've
yeah,
done it, it is very easy to do. You just have to make sure you nail that template, or you have a proper way of getting it right.
yeah. And you got to read some papers periodically, which we'll be
Yeah.
helping you with. So you're all set for cold emailing, guys. Well, future listeners.
I just
Pro
want to
tip.
add something.
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
I want to add something. If you don't have any research experience, I think cold emailing is just like the best way to start, because cold email, like people who usually accept the students from cold email do not really look at your GPA or experience. They're mostly looking for your interest or enthusiasm. So if you don't have any experience, just, you know, I would say just find researchers that you are interested in working with. And once you show your interest in your email, that's everything. That's all that matters. So just
Pro tip,
Interest will shine through.
make a template without anyone's name in it,
Yeah.
and then just copy paste that. Do not copy paste an email you already sent, because it happened to me. I emailed Dr. A and it said, "Dear Dr. B." And I was like, the instant I sent it, I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And I'm glad I haven't seen Dr. B. Like, I've never seen him.
Thank God.
Well, that's good.
Awkward. It's like, you don't even know my name. How do you want to be in my lab? But
And I think, sorry, I just want to add one more thing. But when I started cold emailing, I think like there was no at that point, I don't think there was any like application based research I could find as it is. I think most research, if you want to, if it's like summer research or if it's, you know, I want to say if it's funded research, so if it's like a UofT or if it's like an ROP, a lot of it requires you to be personal in your intent letters or in your cold email. So it's very, as Agia said, it's about your interest and your enthusiasm rather than just like, you know, what have you done before or what is your GPA. So I think that's a really good aspect to it, because you don't need to be, you know, getting a 4.0 or you know, having like 3 years of research experience, like elementary school research experience in order to get a position.
100%. I agree completely. I was wondering, Anna, if you can talk about yours now.
Yeah, sure. So I would like to begin with my goals. So in the future, I want to conduct my own research regarding children cognition and development, as well as I want to contribute to design new therapy for children with ASD. In the past, I volunteered in St. Michael Hospital at a microbiology lab, where we were testing newly developed antibiotics, and I was primarily working with some documents and plotting some graph, but it still gave me some insight about clinical research in the lab setting that I really appreciate. So for this summer, I'm starting a ROP position at Toronto Early Cognition Lab, where we will research about how children age 2-3, how they understand that other people are related without like telling directly them. So my responsibility is going to be to design a stimuli for experiments and to meet our research purpose.
Awesome.
So basically that's it. Thank you.
Really topics.
Those of you who are looking for a research position, in 10 years, you may email Anna. She probably has a lab by then.
Yeah. You guys, you can say, oh, we know we watch your podcast, so connections help. Even weird
For
ones
sure.
like this.
They actually do.
So yeah, awesome.
Mark,
really
do you have
cool
do you want to talk about your motivations and your research?
Yeah, sure. So motivation wise, I do want to pursue a career in research, but my motivation behind doing that, I have two. So one motivation is that you basically create knowledge. This is not my idea. This was said to me by my first year organic chemistry prof. So see, orgo chem profs could be very nice. And for me, I thought, you know what, that's actually very true. This is not something you do in undergrad. In undergrad, you may mostly reiterate the knowledge that was created by someone else.
Mhm.
And I thought this is just a really noble cause, because knowledge is like, it's the foundation of our society. It helps ensure that everything goes smoothly. So I 100% want to be a part of that cause. And specifically pharmacology, since it focuses on medications and drugs, obviously those compounds have massive effect on human health.
You're giving me like Walter White vibes.
Not trying to, but yes.
Drugs.
But not drugs.
No, cut this part out.
guys.
We are not, disclaimer, we are not in any way encouraging drugs.
No. Pharmacology is studies both
Drugs.
harmful and beneficial effects of drugs. You want the good benefit. I personally am interested in the beneficial ones, but again, this is my way of helping people. I would be really happy with that. I don't want to be a doctor, but I think if I do research on medications that will help doctors help people directly. So for me, this is something I definitely want to pursue. And that's why I specifically chose my program. So I do have 3 research experiences. Well, two and one I'm going to complete in the summer. So my first one was at a biomed engineering lab in my first year. So that one was really interesting. I actually got in on a connection. So if you guys have connections, don't feel ashamed to use them. There's nothing shameful about it. But so yeah, I got in and I worked on a gel that helped with wound closure of diabetics. So diabetics to have really bad wound closure, so this gel would help. And I worked on a fluorescent formulation of this gel in order to track its active ingredient throughout the body. This is really important for the pharmacology students, pharmacokinetics, very important for those of you considering pharmacology. And then my most recent research experience was through a department course. So mine specifically was PCL297. So basically you got a cold email. So I cold emailed some professors, and I ended up being in a neuropsychopharmacology lab. This was a topic I had no exposure to previously, and it was really interesting. So since it was COVID, I didn't get any hands-on research, but I did learn a lot about treatments for epilepsy and ones derived from cannabis. And no, cannabis is not always bad. You just got to use the active ingredients properly. This was not to get high. This is to help with seizures.
There's actually a cannabis course, just for anybody listening. There's a very interesting cannabis course. I think it's
PCL 218.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're promoting pharmacology as part of it, guys. Yes.
And we're promoting drugs here. Cut this part out too. We're not.
Yeah. And the benefit of this course, you get half a credit. It goes towards your degree, and you get to do some research. So it's might be better than taking some random elective course that you don't find interesting, because this is definitely interesting. And it's what each department, I'm sure, has for different years, second, third, fourth. You got it. And this summer, I also go to Europe, like Mohammed did. I'll be working in a cancer pharmacology lab, which has been my dream because cancer is nasty. So if there's anything I can contribute to potentially dealing with it, it will be such an honor. And
thank you.
Bless you, yeah. So yeah, that is my research experience. And this brings us towards the end of our podcast. So now just to end off with a more fun type of question and which will be repeated throughout our whole podcast series. And we will be asking all of our researchers this, so stay tuned. You need some inspiration for this answer. So basically, the question is, what is your favorite scientist and why? So I think let's just start with Hava to maintain the order.
So my favorite scientist probably would have to be Rosalind Franklin, sorry, but she was, it's just the abbreviation, but she was the individual who actually discovered Photo 51. And for those of you not familiar with Photo 51, it showed that DNA was actually in the form of a helix. And that kind of paved the way for the future scientists, Watson and Crick, who we learn about, who actually discovered the structure of DNA and all that, all the bases and how it works. But she was really she laid the foundation for it. Unfortunately, she never really gets credit because technically it's Photo 51 was stolen. If you have some time, maybe Google a little bit about Photo 51 and you'll know what I'm talking about. But she is usually snubbed of credit, but she really laid the framework for future genetic research, and she paved the way for women in science. So she's really an incredible person.
Yes. Rosalind Franklin is amazing. We should learn more about her.
For sure.
So I was wondering, Agia, if you want to go next.
Okay, so people who know me already know that my answer is gonna be Werner Heisenberg. So yeah, but I watch Breaking Bad a lot, if you haven't noticed yet. But the other reason other than Breaking Bad is that well, I always love chemistry. I've always been really good at chemistry, especially organic chemistry. I don't want to brag, but I got an in-course scholarship for my organic chemistry in the first year. So yeah, at one point in my life I considered actually like majoring in chemistry, but I didn't. But so the thing is, people who love chemistry also love Heisenberg. So Breaking Bad and chemistry.
That's
Are
literally what bragging means, by the way.
Well, okay, this is
Heisenberg for life. Yes.
it's okay. Sometimes you don't always need to be 100% humble. Mohammed, do you want to go next?
I think you already know the answer. No.
No,
Iron Man.
don't tell me Iron Man.
Okay,
That's
no.
not rude.
My favorite scientist is Erwin Schrödinger. Because I read this book. I don't remember the title of the book, but it was like the most famous experiments in science or something like that. And I remember when I got to his famous cat experiment, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And also, that was the first time I actually felt like I understand quantum. I don't. It was just an illusion. But quantum is literally Schrodinger's cat. If you start studying, you understand that you don't understand. If you don't study, then you may understand or may not understand. Anyways, and also because of his development of the quantum mechanical model of the atom, I thought that was also very interesting for me. So
Yeah, fair. Schrodinger's definitely gets a bad rep in chemistry courses.
yeah,
He's like, geez, this man again, but he's a wonderful man. Did some good stuff. Anna, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My favorite scientist is Konstantin Valkberg. He's a Russian chemist who invented saccharin. So he's mainly my favorite because he made my life sweeter. So basically, that's it.
Okay, awesome. Sweet and short. Ellis, do you want to go next?
Sure, yeah. To be honest, I have a lot of scientists that I love and admire. Right now, I think my main focus, or the person who I like to research the most about, is Nikolai AMOSP, if I pronounced that name right. And yeah, he is known for inventing numerous surgical procedures for cardiovascular and heart repair. So my interest lies there, yeah.
Cool guy. I've never heard of him, and I'm Russian, so this is kind of sad. But and the third Russian to be mentioned in this podcast, my favorite guy is yeah, so seriously, third Russian dude being mentioned is Dmitry Mendeleev. I am a big everyone knows the man, everyone knows his table. What I appreciate is that he set such a foundation. And the fact that this apparently came to him in a dream is impressive, I think, too. I don't know what he was smoking the day before, but
drugs.
Yeah,
We're not promoting drugs, by the way. Disclaimer.
Please don't use illicit drugs, guys. They're not safe.
Unless you're a pharmacology student.
No, but use them responsibly. And by directions. Anyways, don't just but yeah, and he's also Russian. I'm Russian. There's also a statue to him in kind of in the place where my parents were born. So yeah, gotta appreciate Zadev. He also has a great beard. So and with that, with our last Russian person being mentioned today, that is all for our first podcast, everybody. So thank you for those of you listening in. Thank you so much for joining us on our first podcast. And we really hope that you'll continue listening to our podcast. I promise they'll be more serious and more research heavy for those of you that actually want to gain some major knowledge from this. And we really just hope that you'll continue to support us, and please send us any feedback.
Even researchers you might be interested in, feel free to reach out to us over social media. Like if there's someone you really would be interested in hearing about, we can try and reach out and get in touch with them.
100%. Hopefully we'll
Well,
get enough
just
in the
a
following.
teaser. We already have some cool profs
Yeah.
already booked in the following week. So there might be some familiar faces in our new episode. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Those of you who are not interested in watching the rest of our podcasts, shame on you.
Okay, no, we're sorry you didn't like it.
Thank you for just joining us, and thank you.
No,
for
shame on you.
Okay, we're not gonna take the radical approach here, but we're just gonna say sorry you didn't like it. Hope it wasn't too much of a waste of your time. No, we don't. We want to be
But
humble,
thank
guys,
you for
right?
tuning in. Yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thanks for upping our parties, you know. And with that, we want to just say take care, everyone, and hopefully see you at our next podcast.
Joy.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.